The atmosphere in Manchester is thick with expectation and unease. A breaking story has shaken the club. Pep Guardiola has finally given a concrete hint about the physical condition of Rodri, the engine of the midfield, after his absence from the match against Borussia Dortmund. Speculation had been mounting, with fans divided between optimism and concern, and the English press treating the case as a mystery. But Pep, with his usual composure, moved to end the rumors. There is no new injury, only precaution. Rodri's absence is not a sign of alarm, but of strategy. Guardiola prefers to wait for the exact right moment, even if that means playing without one of the team's cornerstones during one of the most intense stretches of the season. The 4-1 victory over Borussia Dortmund at the Etihad Stadium was more than just an emphatic result. It was a display of strength, resilience, and squad depth. Manchester City climbed to 4th place in their Champions League group, with goals from Erling Haaland, Rayan Chery, and 2 from Phil Foden. The collective performance was outstanding, and the way the team adapted to Rodri's absence showed that Guardiola's machine still runs with precision. It was their 10th win in the last 13 matches, a champion's rhythm, a perfect build-up to the monumental Premier League clash against Liverpool. Even so, a shadow of concern lingers. At 29, Rodri is navigating a delicate phase. Since his serious anterior cruciate ligament injury, his recovery has been monitored with extreme care. He has already missed key fixtures, including the opener against Wolves, and has fluctuated between solid performances and subtle setbacks. Pep and the medical team have acted cautiously, well aware that forcing the return of such a crucial player could prove costly in the long run. The Spaniard still feels minor muscular limitations, residue from the cumulative strain of intense seasons with hardly any full rest. Guardiola explained to TNT Sports that Rodri simply does not feel perfect yet, and that taking risks is not worth it. According to him, the priority is to have the midfielder fully fit for the final stretch of the season, when every point and every detail determine titles. This decision, however frustrating it may seem to supporters, reflects Pep's methodical and rational nature. He sees football as a system of balance, not a game of impulse. Yet what surprised the fans most was not Rodri's absence, but the performance of the one who replaced him. Nico Gonzalez, still searching for consistency, delivered a solid display. Though far from Rodri's brilliance, he showed tactical discipline and positional intelligence, qualities Guardiola deeply values. After months of ups and downs, Nico finally seems to be regaining confidence. Pep knows that to win a marathon like the Premier League, a team needs more than stars. It needs depth. But City's story is not just about injuries and replacements. It is also about the rise of young players who seize their chances with hunger, and no one symbolizes that better than Rayan Chery. At 22, the Frenchman arrived at the club under a cloud of doubt. Many said he was too raw for Guardiola's demanding system, but in recent months he has proved otherwise. After recovering from a series of muscular injuries, Chery has shown the combination of creativity and maturity that the manager craves. His performance against Dortmund was a turning point, with sharp touches, spatial awareness, and a goal that lifted the Etihad. The midfielder showed he is ready to be more than a prospect. The result was immediate. Didier Deschamps called him up to the French national team, an achievement that not only crowns him individually, but also reinforces Manchester City's reputation as a cradle of global talent. Deschamps sees in Chery a player capable of breaking lines and unsettling defenses, something France has missed amid injuries to Dembélé and Doué. The French coach believes this new generation, led by Mbappé, Ekitike, and Barcola, can keep the nation among football's elite. For Chery, the call-up is more than a reward. It is a symbol of redemption. He knows what it means to battle his own body, to watch time pass while others shine. Now, at last, he stands in the spotlight, and City fans celebrate every step of his new chapter. Meanwhile, Pep Guardiola continues shaping the team with the same perfectionism as ever. He is not just a coach, he is a system architect, a strategist who thinks in layers. His relationship with Foden is proof of that. The English midfielder, after a turbulent year on and off the pitch, has rediscovered the joy of playing. His display against Dortmund was impeccable. 2 goals, intelligent movement, and quiet leadership. After the match, Foden declared that the secret is to play with joy. That phrase, simple at first glance, carries what Guardiola most strives to preserve in his players: mental balance. Modern football is an emotional roller coaster, and few handle constant pressure well. Foden, raised under Guardiola's watchful eye, has matured. He has learned that confidence cannot be demanded. It must be built. City are undergoing an emotional rebuild. After years of glory, the team understands that each season is a new climb. Talent alone is not enough. Spirit matters too. Foden recognizes this and sends a message to the critics. City are not finished. They have evolved. External criticism, instead of destabilizing them, fuels their drive. Inside the dressing room, there is unity and purpose, and that cohesion shows on the pitch. The arrival of Gianluigi Donnarumma has brought a new sense of security to the defensive system. When the Italian goalkeeper was announced as Ederson's replacement, many doubted him. Accustomed to different leagues, there was uncertainty about how he would adapt to Guardiola's build-from-the-back philosophy, but those doubts quickly vanished. Donnarumma integrated seamlessly, assuming his role with remarkable composure. Josko Gvardiol, one of Europe's most promising defenders, had high praise. He said playing with Donnarumma behind him is a different experience. The Italian exudes confidence, commands, communicates, reads the game. His ball control and short passing have become so precise, they evoke memories of Ederson's arrival in 2017, when City revolutionized their build-up play. Now, the cycle seems to begin anew, a fresh chapter in the same philosophy. Donnarumma has brought stability at a key moment. City, renowned for their devastating attack, have always relied on their play from the back as one of their deadliest weapons. With the Italian, that balance has returned. The impact is visible not just in results, but in the defense's calmness, the timing of passes, and the squad's confidence. Guardiola values this deeply because he knows titles are won in the details, and each small adjustment can alter the course of a season. As the squad settles, focus now shifts to the great duel against Liverpool, a match that always transcends the pitch, one that sets tones and moods across the Premier League. For many, it is the true test of City's current form. Pep knows he will be pushed to the limit, especially if Rodri is still unavailable. But he also knows every match is an opportunity to reaffirm his vision of football. Guardiola's City is built on patience, precision, and obsession. Every pass is a calculated decision, every movement deliberate. Even without their main midfield anchor, the team shows they have learned to reinvent themselves. The club's success lies not just in its stars, but in the culture of adaptation the manager has instilled. Meanwhile, the supporters live torn between anxiety and hope. They long to see Rodri back on the pitch, but they understand that what matters most is having him fully fit when it truly counts. Their faith in Guardiola borders on religious. He has proven time and again that he knows exactly what he is doing. Behind the scenes, preparation for the clash against Liverpool has taken on the atmosphere of an early final. City are working in silence and with method, far from the spotlight, as if every training session were a tactical war simulation. Guardiola knows that facing Jurgen Klopp requires more than talent. It demands mental control, composure, and absolute synchrony. Rodri's absence is a blow, but also an opportunity to test the group's level of maturity. He has often repeated that the true character of a squad is revealed when the key piece is missing. And now, this is that moment. Nico Gonzalez, regarded by many as merely a temporary replacement, is trying to turn this chance into something greater. In training, Pep has been giving him special attention, instructing him on positioning and reading of the game. The Spanish coach values midfielders who understand the tempo of a match, who know when to accelerate and when to slow things down. Nico is learning to carry that responsibility. His story in football is one of persistence and reconstruction, marked by a serious injury and a slow but disciplined recovery. Today, his presence symbolizes the spirit of resilience that Guardiola seeks to instill in everyone. However, the focus of the fans goes far beyond substitutions and formations. What fuels the conversations in the stands and on social media is the feeling that City are once again regaining the shine of their golden era. Recent performances show a team less dependent on individual brilliance and more connected collectively. Haaland remains lethal, but now seems more integrated into the associative game. Foden has rediscovered his joy, and players like Chery and Gvardiol are developing rapidly. Guardiola's idea of turning every player into a thinking component is bearing fruit once again. The match against Dortmund was not just another win, it was a warning. City are rediscovering their identity. The 4-1 scoreline was an expression of technical and psychological dominance that had not been seen for weeks. Guardiola showed little emotion on the touchline, but those who know him understand that his silence signals pure satisfaction. The coach observes every movement like a scientist studying the behavior of a formula about to explode. He sees football as a living system, and when everything fits together, one look is enough to see that the machine is working again. The great strength of this version of City lies in the balance between experience and youth. Donnarumma, only 26, already plays like a veteran. His composure under pressure is the kind of quality that transforms defenses. Beside him, Gvardiol has gained confidence and begun to play with more freedom. This allows fullbacks like Walker and Ake to take on more aggressive roles, pushing the team higher up the pitch. Guardiola views football as moving geometry, and with Donnarumma anchoring the backline, the structure looks more stable. And if the defense inspires confidence, the attack is once again pure explosion. Foden, who had faced heavy criticism for his physical and mental form last year, has re-emerged as a protagonist. His 2 goals against Dortmund were more than beautiful moments. They were a statement that he is back. With every touch of the ball, there is belief and conviction. Guardiola, who always trusted in Foden's talent, seems finally to be reaping what he sowed. The midfielder's post-match remarks were telling. By saying he plays better when he is happy, he revealed a crucial human aspect that Guardiola values deeply: emotional state. At City, mental health is treated with the same importance as tactics. The club invests in sports psychology and emotional management because it knows that elite performance depends as much on the mind as on the body, and Foden is the living reflection of that balance. Meanwhile, the dressing room atmosphere is one of unity and focus. The players know that the coming run of fixtures will be decisive. The Champions League, the Premier League, and soon the Club World Cup. Each competition requires specific adjustments, and Guardiola is a master at adapting his side without losing its identity. In training, he alternates formations, tests build-up variations, and demands millimeter precision, all so that when the ball rolls, the team operates like an orchestra. On the French side, Chery's call-up to Didier Deschamps' national squad made waves. For the player, it is recognition for months of hard work and patience. He arrived at City under skeptical eyes, was criticized for inconsistency, and endured consecutive injuries. But on his return, he showed maturity and composure. Guardiola has praised his ability to learn and adapt, something rare in young talents. Haaland's comparison, saying that Chery has a special ability like De Bruyne, drew media attention, and it is no exaggeration. The Frenchman possesses the creative touch and vision few others have. In a squad full of stars, he is beginning to find his place. His tactical versatility allows him to play out wide, cutting inside, or centrally as a playmaker. This flexibility makes him a strategic weapon, especially in matches where Guardiola needs to break compact defenses. In France, Deschamps also plans to use him as a wild card. With Dembélé and Doué injured, Chery appears as an option to change the pace of the attack. The French coach's trust reflects directly the work Guardiola is doing in Manchester. The Spanish manager has always said that the development of a young player involves understanding the game beyond the ball itself. Chery is doing just that, and the result is visible. Back in Manchester, the focus on the Liverpool duel is absolute. Guardiola knows that this type of match sets the tone for the entire season. The rivalry between the two sides goes beyond points. It is an ideological clash of styles and football philosophies. Klopp represents intensity and transition. Pep represents control and patience. When they meet, the pitch becomes a chessboard where every move is calculated. And it is in that setting that Foden, Haaland, Chery, and Donnarumma will have to prove that City have returned to their peak. Guardiola avoids talking about favorites. For him, football is about execution, not narrative. Even so, he knows that a win against Liverpool would carry symbolic weight. It would cement City as Arsenal's main pursuer, reignite the team's morale, and send a clear message to the league. The champion is still alive. Inside the Etihad, there is also a sense of transition. Veteran players are slowly giving way to hungry young ones. This quiet renewal is part of the natural cycle Guardiola always plans in advance. He understands that an aging squad loses pace and intensity and prefers to act before the decline. It is the same process that has kept City dominant for so many years, the ability to reinvent themselves without starting from zero. While the cameras focus on the stars, Guardiola watches the whole. Each player is a cell within a larger organism. He sees football as flow, and his mission is to keep that flow uninterrupted. Rodri, Chery, Foden, Haaland, all are parts of a greater mechanism that functions only because there is synergy. And when the whistle blows in the clash against Liverpool, the world will witness more than just a game. It will see the reflection of a philosophy that has turned Manchester City into a global powerhouse. Even amid uncertainty, even with absences, the club continues to operate like a perfectly tuned machine. And Guardiola, in command, keeps shaping every detail, like a conductor who knows that true harmony exists only when every note finds its place. When the sun rose over Manchester the following morning, the atmosphere was one of focus and anticipation. Training was closed to the press, as is customary in the days leading up to a major clash. Pep Guardiola gathered the group in the center of the pitch and spoke for over 15 minutes, not raising his voice, but with the conviction of someone who knows every weakness of the opponent. He knows that Klopp's Liverpool is dangerous, especially in quick transitions and long balls. That is why he demanded total control of possession, constant movement, and compactness between the lines. The plan was simple in theory, but it would require near-perfect execution. Rodri took part of the session under the supervision of the fitness coaches. Still not at ideal rhythm, he showed he was close to returning. Guardiola watched every step with a clinical eye, aware that forcing any acceleration in the process would be a mistake. Rodri represents more than just a player. He is the balance of the system, the brain that dictates the tempo of the midfield. Without him, City changes identity and loses fluidity. That is why Pep insists on patience. Better to lose a game than lose a pillar for months. Meanwhile, the British press fueled the debate. Is City still the same without Rodri? Opinions were divided, but the answer on the pitch had been convincing. Even with squad rotation, the team maintained a high level of performance, a sign of tactical maturity. Guardiola has always made it clear that he does not want to depend on a single player. His football is collective, structured around principles that any player can apply. Still, there is something in Rodri that transcends tactics. It is calm under pressure, a sense of timing, a reading of the game, rare virtues that turn a good team into a champion. Behind the scenes, Donnarumma continues to earn space and respect. With every match, the Italian proves that his arrival was not a mere market move, but a visionary investment. His communication with the defense is constant, his interventions are clean, and his posture radiates authority. The dressing room welcomed him naturally. Guardiola recently commented that the goalkeeper's confidence changes the energy of the back line. It is the kind of quiet influence that defines champions. This defensive stability has allowed City to take more offensive risks. Against Dortmund, the team played with a high line, pressing from the very first pass. Guardiola has been experimenting with a hybrid system, where fullbacks alternate between marking and midfield roles, something reminiscent of the João Cancelo era, but with more controlled changes of rhythm. The result has been less predictable football, with multiple points of creation. In attack, Foden and Haaland form an almost telepathic partnership. The Norwegian remains the ruthless finisher, but the Englishman has become the invisible conductor who opens paths. Haaland has publicly stated that Foden makes him play better because he understands his movements before he even starts to run. This connection is the product of obsessive training sessions, where Guardiola repeats patterns to exhaustion. He believes intuition can be trained, that improvisation is born from repetition. Their chemistry shows in the numbers. Together, they have already been directly involved in more than 20 goals this season. But the most impressive aspect is the psychological impact they have on opponents. When Foden accelerates and Haaland threatens space, entire defenses instinctively retreat. That fear is what Pep wants to exploit against Liverpool, to suffocate the rival before they can feel comfortable. Within this well-tuned structure, Rayan Chery is the unpredictable element. His daring style, with short dribbles and piercing passes, breaks the geometric pattern that defines City. Guardiola uses him as controlled chaos, the necessary disruption to disorganize rigid opponents. That is why, even coming off the bench, the Frenchman has been decisive. His goal against Dortmund was proof: a sharp cut, a quick shot, and the ball into the top corner. A flash of genius that changed the match's direction. Chery's call-up to the French national team not only motivated him, but also reinforced City's image as an incubator of talent. In the Etihad corridors, the word most often heard is continuity. The club wants to sustain success without having to start over, and to do that, it bets on young players with elite mentality. Guardiola constantly repeats that the secret of a dynasty is to prepare successors before decline arrives. Chery is part of that plan. At the same time, the atmosphere within the group is healthy, something not always guaranteed in star-studded squads. Donnarumma, for example, has brought lightness. His calm demeanor is contagious. He is discreet off the pitch, but his quiet leadership is evident. Foden, in turn, has rediscovered the joy that once seemed lost, and that energy spreads through the dressing room. Guardiola believes happiness and performance go hand in hand. Therefore, he promotes an environment of trust where mistakes are treated as part of learning, not as failure. Phil Foden has spoken with rare maturity for his age. When he says he doesn't care if people underestimate City, he captures the group's spirit. For years, the club has carried the burden of being the team to beat. Constant pressure wears on you, but it also forges mentality. And that mentality is what sets City apart. They know what it means to reach the top, fall, and return even stronger. On the opposite side, Liverpool are going through a phase of rebuilding. Klopp has reshaped his midfield and is trying to recover the intensity that once made his team feared. The clash between these two philosophies, Klopp's organized chaos and Guardiola's controlled order, is what makes their encounters almost mythical. No game between them is trivial. Every detail matters. Every adjustment can decide the outcome. City fans are waiting anxiously. Tickets sold out in minutes. The Etihad will pulse like rarely before. There is a feeling that this match could redefine the course of the season. A victory would put City back in direct contention for the top. A defeat might dent morale, even if only temporarily. Guardiola knows this, but shows no nervousness. He trusts the process, the discipline, and the science behind every training session. What few realize is how much that confidence is built behind the scenes. City invests heavily in technology and data analysis. Each player has individual physical monitoring, with daily reports on fatigue, sleep, and nutrition. This scientific culture is one of the pillars of the team's longevity. Guardiola uses this information to make decisions such as resting Rodri, choices that may seem small, but sustain long-term success. At the heart of it all is collective mentality. Guardiola repeats that a club's greatness is not measured by isolated trophies, but by consistency. And consistency is exactly what City have shown. 10 wins in 13 games are no coincidence. They are the result of a structure that remains firm even when one piece is missing. The team has learned to win without haste, to control the tempo, to turn control into art. For supporters, today's Manchester City is more than a team. It is a living football laboratory. Every match is a lesson in how the sport can be reimagined. Pep Guardiola does not just manage, he rewrites concepts. And while the world watches, City continue their silent march, without noise, yet with unshakable conviction. The clash with Liverpool will be the next chapter of this story, a test of faith, discipline, and strategy. Guardiola knows that victory does not come from talent alone. It comes from method, patience, and above all, vision. And that vision is what keeps Manchester City where they always aim to be, at the top of world football, reinventing themselves each season without ever losing their essence. Thus, Manchester City reach another decisive point in the season. What we have seen so far is a team that has learned to turn every obstacle into fuel, that does not panic in the face of absences, and does not grow complacent in victory. The absence of Rodri, Foden's brilliance, Cherky's rise, and Donnaruma's solidity are different chapters of the same narrative. That of a club that understands true power lies in continuity. Guardiola remains faithful to his philosophy. Refine every detail, control the chaos, and turn each game into a work of precision. The meeting with Liverpool will be more than a clash of giants. It will be a mirror of what City have become. A mature, balanced side, aware of their strength and their limitations. If they win, they will reinforce their status as contenders for every title. If they stumble, they will still show the world they are ready to fight until the end. Because under Guardiola's command, City never play merely for 3 points. They play to prove that football can still be art, science, and emotion all at once. And now it's over to you. If you enjoyed this analysis and want to keep following everything about Manchester City, from behind-the-scenes stories to the big matches, from tactics to revelations, leave a like below. It really helps the channel grow and reach more passionate fans like you. Also, check if you're subscribed, because there's plenty more to come. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos, and stay with us on this journey of emotion, tactics, and passion for football. See you in the next one.